John Bates, I always love sitting down and chatting with you, my man. Thank you so much for your time. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing really well. Thank you, Adrian. And it's a pleasure to chat with you too.
Dude, it's we're going to jam on a lot of things. But firstly, I just want to say, love the background with the astronaut. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's funny because today, of all days, I just had Chris Cassidy on my Speak Like a Leader Show podcast. And Chris Cassidy was formerly a Navy SEAL who then went on to become an astronaut. He ran the astronaut office for a while. He commanded the ISS. He's been up in the, um, uh, to the space station a couple times, and he now runs the Medal of Honor Foundation. He's the CEO of the Medal of Honor Foundation. And he just was on my podcast. We just recorded that this morning. So I've got this astronaut behind me because I'm just a super NASA geek. And in late 2017, I've done a lot of training at NASA, but in late 2017, I got to train all the active astronauts. And I'm still friends with a number of them and support a number of them. And that was bucket list,
Bucket
for
list.
my career.
Johnny, before we when we first sat down, what was the number one challenge you were having before you come on board? Before we started to work together?
Before we started to work together, the number one challenge I had was a consistently being able to bring people into my pipeline. I got great word of mouth, but I had no way to step on the gas pedal for that I knew of. I just, so I feel like I had a great offering. Like clearly people liked it. They shared it, great word of mouth, but I didn't know how to step on the gas.
Got it. John, what was the one thing that would have prevented you from joining, from us working together?
I mean, there's probably a couple things, but probably the number one thing would have just been my cynicism, right? My like, oh, been there, done that, heard this before, like, yeah, right, blow sunshine up my butt and nothing's gonna happen. And and so I definitely came to our first conversation fairly guarded, let's say.
Yeah,
And that would probably, money was sort of an object, but that's not really the object if I know I'm going to get my results. Like that's not really the issue. I think it was my own cynicism from my number of bad experiences, trying to figure out how to turn up the volume on what I was doing.
dude, I love that. And you know what? There's so many people that will be watching this right now that could relate to that because even I've been like that sometimes as well in the
Sure.
past. It's just
Well, I
natural
mean,
as a
if you've
human.
been around the block at all, right? There have been people who said we can do this. Oh yeah, and then it doesn't happen, right? And I think one of the big issues with marketing is that whole idea of I know half my marketing dollars are wasted. I just don't know which half. Um, so this is not that, and by the way, it didn't happen overnight, right? Like I would love it if we would have done this in 1 month, but that's not how anything like that works.
Yeah,
And so, I'm glad I got over my cynicism and just stepped in and gave this enough runway that it could work.
yeah, dude, I think that's super powerful. And also along the way, of course, we've built a friendship and a relationship. We've got to know each other, and it's completely different now.
Yeah. Well, totally it is. And it's funny you bring that up, Adrian, because it's one of my commitments. Like I'm way too freaking old to goof around with just purely business relationships. I work from home. I travel all over. I spend a huge amount of my time at work, and I want to like the people I work with. In fact, I want to be friends with them. I want to like if you're ever in my city, we're definitely having dinner. You know what I mean? And I want to hang out with you. And that's who I want in my life. And I just feel like I get better work done that way anyway.
Yeah. And the real reason you like me is because You like my eyebrows. That's right, isn't it?
Oh, your eyebrows. Dude, you have the most amazing eyebrows of all time. And if that's not a good reason to work with someone, boy, I don't know what is.
Dude, that's hilarious because that was quite a sensitive topic a couple of weeks ago. You're like, I don't know if should bring up his eyebrows or not. But I'm like, bring them up. Everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Maybe I waited a little longer than most people, huh?
Yeah. We could have just broken the ice on our first call with the eyebrows. That probably would
Well,
have been
it's just that I'm jealous and I couldn't quite figure it out, you know. They are
John,
some
what are the
awesome
results?
eyebrows.
Thanks, dude. Mate, what are the results that you've achieved and what does the future look like for John Bates?
Well, so we're into this now. I guess we started in December and it's May, so about 6 months.
Yeah.
And I started to see rumblings happening a couple months ago. I started to see things that I was like, okay, it seems like this is working. Let's keep doing it. And then, you know, it's not all of a sudden, it's 6 months later, but like then something really started to hit. And what I've noticed so far, Adrian, is that number one, I've just been connecting with people that are genuinely interested in what I do. So like I've really dramatically increased, especially compared to the previous 6 months.
Yeah.
I've dramatically increased the number of people that are getting and reading my weekly mini trainings, you know, that are engaging with that. So I've started to really find my audience that appreciates what I do. The other thing that I've noticed is that I've actually started to find clients who did not know me before, right? And now they're a client. That's huge. The other thing that I noticed is that there are people that have been in my life that have been following me that I didn't even know were following me, but they've been reading my newsletters and checking me out on LinkedIn and wherever, and just checking in with me. And all of a sudden, because of how we changed the messaging and what I was doing and what I was saying, those people are starting to reach out for me and want to work with me and want my support. It's become much clearer to them what I actually offer. And they're stepping in because I thought, oh yeah, I could use that, right? That's what he does, you know?
Yeah.
And I want that.
I think
so. And I think the future, you know, right now we're talking at a point where I am about to open up a waiting list for my one-on-one coaching. And I actually feel like now it's important for me to figure out how I'm going to scale what I'm doing, because I feel like, you know, this doesn't feel like a one-off. I don't think it's just because it's May that this is happening. I think it's been our consistent effort, your great coaching, these little seemingly insignificant tweaks in the messaging. And, you know, I love the saying, Adrian, I think the stuff you do is a really good example of this. Small hinges swing big doors.
Yeah.
Right. And we've done these little tweaks on these small hinges and it's really swung big doors. And it's also hard to see the picture when you're in the frame, right? Like I'm sitting here with all this stuff I've got and I had all this great content, you know, like it's not like my content wasn't great. It's not like I didn't have a great offering. I just hadn't gotten it all together and the doors weren't opening because we didn't have the hinges yet, you know?
Yeah. Dude, I love your analogies, man.
They used to call me the analogy man. And the funny thing I find out much later in my life, now that I know, is like analogies are a fabulous tool for communication. They really are. It's how, you know, so I'll take it as a compliment that you love my analogy.
Dude, I love it. John, what specific feature did you like most about working together?
Besides your eyebrows.
Besides my eyebrows. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You know, you know, I like that it's kind of a combination of features. I like that you worked with me in a method that really works for me. You gave me this Google folder. It had stuff in there. I could go in and get it whenever I wanted. You had your examples. I could just copy paste that and then tweak it and use it for my thing. So I really, really appreciated all the work you had done for me up front and how accessible you made it to me to be able to use that work for myself. So that's one thing. And I love having one-on-one time with you. And in some ways, I almost feel like I waste it because I'm asking you about stuff that's already there. But gosh, you can help me get right to it. I don't have to spend 15 minutes trying to find it and maybe not. And if I say I want to do this, you can say, well, John, that's okay, but what about doing that? So I really like that combination of those two things, right? Like I get time with you, your understanding, your willingness to explain things to me, sometimes more than once, maybe sometimes more than 2 or 3 times, but just to come back and lovingly tell me again, like, John, here's what we need to do, right? And let me try things out and then finally come back and do what you told me the first time, and point me to all that great stuff that you've already created that makes doing what you asked me to do so much faster and easier.
Yeah. Dude, I think it's just staying a couple of steps ahead of where people are at makes it, a lot easier to be able to give them the tools and the frameworks and the resources they need so that then they can continue moving forward. And then, as long as you're moving forward as well.
And, I feel like you're on your own journey, right? And you are many steps ahead of me, and I'm on my journey, and it's really great to be able to experience this along with you. And you get a lot of the things that I'm just starting to get and step into, because you're just ahead of me on that path. And I can still focus on what I do. Because look, I don't want to do what you do. If I wanted to do what you do, I would be doing it and we'd be competitors, right? And you don't want to do what I do.
Yeah.
Same thing, right? So you get to focus on what you love, and I get to benefit from that. And that's a really cool thing,
Yeah. Johnny, why would you recommend other coaches and consultants join?
Because I think that, well, I mean, look, if they're already totally crushing it and they don't want more clients and all that, then maybe they don't need to, right? But if I think that my reason for joining is probably a really good reason for a lot of coaches and others to join your program. I had great stuff and I knew it. And I was trying really hard to share stuff. And I knew that people liked it when they finally saw it or got it. And I had great word of mouth, but I just didn't know how to combine all those things together to get it into the funnel, right? To grow my client base. And like I say, I had great stuff. I had great word of mouth, but I had no idea how to step on the gas pedal for my business. And I feel if somebody wants to be able to step on the gas pedal for their business, that would be a great reason to work with you.
Boom. Step on that gas pedal.
Step on that gas pedal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's
an interesting feeling to feel like I've got a relatively dependable gas pedal now. And now it's like, okay, so I've stepped on the gas pedal. I've completely booked myself up. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to deliver all this stuff. I might have to work on Saturdays and stuff, but that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And now I can keep that consistent and have the room and space and resources to start thinking about how am I going to scale my business, right? Yeah. So that's a fabulous place to be 6 months later. Like, would I have liked it to happen like this? Yes. Does anything good ever happen that quick? Not usually. So it's a fabulous place to be 6 months later, where I really feel like that's the new issue I have to deal with versus oh no, am I going to be okay this month? You know?
That's our next project.
Yeah. Scaling, huh?
Boom. John, is there anything else you'd like to add today?
You know, there's something about, here's what I would like to add. I almost feel silly for how much I like you. And and here's what I'm realizing as I'm saying that. Like, that's the world I want to live in, right? I want other people to feel that way about me too. And I think that when someone comes to their business like you do with genuinely something good to offer, like stuff that works, a great product, and they really care about the people they serve, and they're really just generous of spirit, like, that's just the world I want to live in. And so I don't feel silly at all for how much I like you, because that's who you really have been for me consistently over this time. And I believe that is who you actually are. And that's probably the best reason to work with you for anybody, right? Like, all of that together is just a really great package.
Double booms.
Boom.
We love our knuckles.
Yeah.
John, where can people find you?
You know, the best place to find me probably is on LinkedIn, and I could share my screen with you if you'd like.
Please do.
Let's see, where did it go? I got a bunch of screens open. Here we go. So that's me on LinkedIn. And little trivia fact, I knew one of the original creators of LinkedIn, and I got an invite to be on LinkedIn when it was still, maybe 1,000 people. It was hundreds of people, maybe a couple thousand. So I'm linkedin.com/in/John Bates. I got my name, even though there's about a bazillion other John Bateses. So that's where people can find me. And, you can also find me at johnbates.com.
Boom.
But I work really hard to make my feed on LinkedIn valuable. And I would love to have you follow me there. And I hope that if you do that, I make a big difference for you and your leadership and your communication.
Make your communication as mighty as your ideas. Love it.
Boom.
Oof. Love it.
That's good.
John, great chatting. Appreciate your time, dude. And I'm super excited for the next step for you.
Right on. Thank you, Adrian. Me too. It's a pleasure to be on this journey with you, brother.
You too, bro. Cheers, Johnny.
Okay. Take care.
See you, buddy.